LE47s and free-flowing exhaust. What's up, guys? Coming to you from the parking lot because that's where I work on my shit. Today what we're gonna do is we're gonna start working on the Fairmont. The Fairmont I told you guys about needs a better belt routing system. Right now what we have going on is the stock Roush, Edelbrock stuff. And what I'm gonna do is take all of this apart and install Power by the Hour's Edelbrock drive unit, which what it'll do is it'll take the alternator and bring it up here, and it'll also give us more favorable belt wrap. See, it's almost like I wish there was a tensioner or idler here so that the belt would have better contact with the blower, but what's happening is the way it sits now, there's not that much tension on it, and what's happening is there's an alignment issue, yada yada yada. I'm just sick of dealing with it. So let me take all this apart, degrease some of the stuff because you can see all the old belt dust back there, and then start taking it all apart and start installing Power by the Hour's speed drive 8 rib, alternator relocation bracket. Also the brackets, I'm going to end up installing a power steering pump and a power steering rack on this car because it's part of the kit, so might as well just upgrade to power steering, because steering a manual steering rack is a pain in the ass because this car is not that light. The Coyote's kind of on the heavy side, especially with the blower in the front. So enough talking, let's get to unbolting parts and start putting Power by the Hour's drive unit on with the relocation bracket and the power steering pump on a Coyote swapped Fairmont. Straightforward. Actually, let me pause this so I don't get copyrighted. Took out the tensioner, took out the 2 idlers. Very straightforward, nothing to look at here. So now I'm going to take off this whole bracket system along with the standoffs. Let's get to that. Got me a rain delay, so I'll get back to it. But the bracket's off. Bracket's off. I'll work on taking the alternator off and cleaning this guy once the rain slows down. So I'm going to take the final idler out. There was an idler up here. Take the second idler out, and then I'm going to go ahead and take the alternator off, and I'm going to start seeing how I have to orient all of the brackets from the Power by the Hour kit. I'll download their instructions. Their instructions are online. So there we go. Alright, so all the idlers are off. So basically, it's pretty easy. Just unbolt shit. I think that guy has to come off, if I'm not mistaken, because Power by the Hour has a different mount for the tensioner. So I believe this guy is coming off next. The instructions. Okay, I downloaded the instructions from powerbythehour.com. What is this? Is this the reflection? That's a reflection. Okay, so this is the power steering bracket. Probably can't see it that good, but it's on my phone. So it's the power steering bracket has to go where the alternator used to be. So let me go ahead and find the power steering bracket, put it as pictured on their instructions, which is on their website. Alright, so let's look for the power steering bracket. Have the belts, all the bracketry here, so let me put this out of the way. I know that goes in similar area. Oh, here we go. Is that it? What's that? Power steering bracket. Okay, let's get that guy installed according to the instructions. I'll read them carefully and I'll show you guys how the install goes, hopefully as best as I can. And I'm hoping that this guy swivels up to this guy and make sure this guy works. So does it bolt up there? Yep. Just making sure. Wait, you know how much R&D that's in front of this? More than I want to do. Thank you, Jacob. The front side. What a guy. What a guy. Good old-fashioned Vato Zone degreaser. Let's see how good this works on this without me having to agitate it or anything. Bunch of belt dust mostly. Ah, yeah. Yep, that is satisfying as all hell. Alex, you need to have a vertical so it can have the best effect. Actually, put the nozzle on. See if the nozzle, little nozzle action helps. Boop. Alrighty, let's see what it'll do. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. That is so satisfying. I'm totally gonna do it like they do at shops where they don't care. They do not want to fuck with rags or anything. Any of this stuff. That's about 3 or 4 belts that went flying for this guy. That makes me happy. Cleaner than it was, for sure. Oh yeah. Clean working surfaces are really nice. Set to locate the hardware in the kit. Locate the idler pulley bracket and hardware in the supplied speed drive kit. Assemble the idler pulley bracket 2 by 1.5 inch 1 by 2 5/8 spacers as shown. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. After seeing the installed picture, it makes a lot more sense why this was highlighted. Okay, so these guys apparently have to be removed in order for that part to go in like so. Alright, I'll get on assembling, and hopefully by the time it's all done, this will be in there somewhere. This part will be in there somewhere. Okay, let's take this hardware off. My custom extension. I have this guy assembled properly, and this guy supposedly goes in the 12 o'clock position. Just shine. So water pump pulley has to come off because I need the room to get in there. So water pump pulley coming off. Note to self, pulley on the water pump is on very tight, so I had to pretty much pry it off. Went flying. So just to know that sometimes these guys are a little on the tight side in terms of fit. At least mine was. Might be pre-production. Who knows? But let's keep going. A V8, guys. Especially the stupid EcoBoost. What a really stupid car. But whatever. Teenagers need cars too. Okay. So now what? Let's go to the instructions. And should go at the top of the threaded hole here, it seems. Maybe not. Yeah, it has to, because the water pump pulley goes there. Stop shaking. There you go. And that's why I refuse to buy a toolbox. A big badass toolbox. Why? Because I don't ever want to do this for a living. Love you guys if you do this for a living. Fuck that. Ugh. Fuck that forever. Okay, this idler, very nice. This guy, just so you see what's going on. So you got your well wear. Now I'm gonna install the water pump pulley, which apparently it's a press fit, Jacob. So let's get that put on. Sounds good. Little Hellcat action, very nice. Guy has a red eye in the neighborhood. Time to give him some of the Gapple sauce. He don't even know I'll give him the slowest car. Give him the slowest car I got, which is probably the red car. Okay. Okay, water pump pulley installed. So there you go. So this is what basically the new setup is gonna look like. I'll give you a better light. There you go. Idler bracket, water pump pulley, idler and power steering pump. So the next step is to install the power steering pump, and then the other bracket, which is the alternator relocation bracket that goes up here. And I'll get that tomorrow, but for you guys it'll look like 2 seconds. It is day 3 because I can only work on this a couple of hours at a time, or an hour at a time. So the next step is the alternator bracket. I've already taken these steps where I install the water pump pulley, the idler, and the idler bracket. Everything's in. Idler bracket, water pump pulley, and the idler is somewhere right here. Right here. There's the idler right there. There's the power steering bracket, idler, water pump pulley, 8-rib, idler bracket. Beautiful. Okay, so I think I have everything how it should go. Now let's work on this guy. Let me get that guy out of the trunk and go from there. Okay, the instructions say to take, first of all, flip the phone the right direction, to take these guys out. Now 2 out of the 3 are not being used, but the third guy is my ground. So I'm gonna have to find an alternate ground, or see if I can ground it back into the standoffs, these guys, somehow once I get them back in there. But for now, let's take it off and start putting parts on this guy. See where I can end up putting a new ground in there. Alrighty. So according to the photo, there's short threads, because there's long and short, stick out according to the photo. So I'm going by the photo. So start putting these guys in there. Let's see how it all works out. 1, 2, and this guy back here, supposedly. I think so, yep. Hopefully that's deep enough. That's what she said. Alright, let's get these on and I'll show you the finished product. Got them oriented according to the photo. It is nice to have them on the phone. Okay, what's next? Let's go by the photos. Fastened alternator to the alternator bracket as shown. So I got to take the alternator, put it on the bracket first as shown. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, let's go find the alternator. Actually, fuck it. We're doing it live. Yeah, I'm doing it in a parking lot. Fuck it. Gangster like that, aka poor. See, poor guys say shit's gangster, but we just really mean we're poor as fuck. That's all it means. So we say gangster to get over our insecurities. Okay, so let's see what the deal is here. Okay, so what I'm guessing is the pocketed side, meaning the side that has these cutouts, go towards the front of the vehicle, right? That's what I'm thinking, just based on the look. So this is the finished side, this is the non-finished side. It says PBHperformance.com on this side. So according to the photo, this guy looks like this. Where are you? There's something sticking out. Yeah. So like that, like so. I think I got it. I think I got it figured out. I think I got it situated. I'll show you the finished product once I'm done. So the way the bracket goes, there's a little slug, like a little spacer. Jesus Christ, Alex. I hate working on cars. So this little spacer right here was a bit of a tight fit, so got it to fit. And I was looking for this nut and bolt forever. In the kit, it was attached to this bolt. So I'm like, oh, does it go to this bolt? But this bolt threads into the alternator nut that's in the alternator itself. So I was looking around like a madman for it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it goes elsewhere. So you get these guys fastened, and I'll show you the alternator installed in its final resting place once I get this guy bolted. So yeah, be aware, if you have a complete Coyote and then you decide to do power steering, you're gonna have some fun fitting some shit in there. There we go. All right, I think that's the final resting place. It looks to be right. Yeah, look at that. So that's where the alternator is gonna live. Looks like the belt. No. Thumbs off. Apparently, there are two different types of pulleys, and depending on how they mount, you either have a fat bottom rib. See how fat this bottom rib is compared to this guy? See how fat? So basically this guy was sticking out more. It's just basically thicker, but the ribs stay still in the, you know, stay in the middle. This one is more, let's just say low profile, for lack of a better word. So let's say this guy mounted like that. It was about 2 ribs off, because see the bottom mounting point sits about here, about 2 ribs off of the other one. So luckily I had another alternator with an old 8-rib pulley. I don't need 8-rib because this is going to be on the inner sheath, and the inner sheath drive of the crank will be turning the alternator. The outer sheath is what's turning the blower. It's getting dark out, so let's get this guy on and end the video here, because I have pretty much everything mounted. I have the pump mounted, idlers mounted. Now I'm going to mount this guy. Should be done with the video, well, for today anyway. Then I still got to do a whole bunch of other stuff. This is day 3. Every day after work I work on it for a little bit, and working on it on the ground is a completely different animal than working on it on a pallet in an air-conditioned room. This is way different. A lot of the brackets have to go in from the bottom of the car, because when you have hoses, cold airs and stuff installed that you don't want to take off, or makes it a bigger pain in the ass to take off, got to improvise. So I got to feed this guy in from the bottom and put it up on the standoffs, and go ahead and do that. Actually, I'll just keep it rolling. I'll edit it out later. Boom. Okay. Feed it from the bottom. Try not to scratch it. Jake was really mad when I told him I scratched it, but I didn't. I just knew he'd be mad that I scratched it, so I told him I scratched it. Just to hear him go, "Oh, come on, man." Like, dude, I'm working on this thing on the ground. I don't have a garage yet, you know, soon. You know, I'll find me a nice little 1 bay or 2 bay, a couple grand a month, work on my shit there. Just need to stick some wrenches up my ass and I'm good to go. Look at that, boom, got me the room I needed. Wonderful, got me the room I needed. Very nice. I'll show you what I'm talking about and then end the video, because I am freaking tired. Like, I'm legit tired. Sending flex tunes out all day, and to go outside on the ground in a parking lot to convert a Foxbody to power steering. So let me not get too ahead of myself. Let me actually figure out where these 2 idlers go. So that's next, the idler location, where to put them and what to do. Then I have to figure out how to mount the power steering reservoir tank mount. I believe this goes on the driver's side. And then I have to lower boost considerably, just for now, just to get it running, so that the belt that comes with the kit works with it. It's a 3.5-inch pulley, which supposedly is stock on Edelbrock, but this is 8-rib. So I'm hoping that I can get this guy, at least get the belt on by the end of today. And then tomorrow, which again for you guys will be a couple seconds, I'll put the rack on, the lines, try to get power steering in this sucker. So let's get started. Okay, so let me zoom in. So this photo is showing me that this tensioner with the beige colored, you know, I don't know, arm, goes where the alternator would be to put tension on it. Since I do not have AC, I gotta see how I'm gonna route that. That is gonna be interesting. How will I route that since I don't have AC? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And then the other idler, let me see the top one. Here we go. So where's the tensioner on this guy? Idler, that's the tensioner. Okay, that must be the tensioner right there. That's the tensioner right there. That's the tensioner right there. But I think I have to replace the idler with a bigger unit. All right, let's get cracking. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see that shot of me putting this tensioner in. I'm telling you, be advised. Putting this stuff in after the car is built is not going to be easy. It's not impossible, but don't think it's going to be easy, you know? Hopefully that Harbor Freight jack on the other side doesn't collapse. Still rolling? We're still rolling. Okay, that's bottomed out. That's pretty much it. What? Oh shit, Jake. I'm gonna kill you. Wow. Oh, that won't fit. There's no way. Wow. Holy crap. And I somehow have to get it on the tensioner now. Jesus. Oh, fuck. Wow. Yeah, if you could do this before putting the engine on, highly suggested. I mean, extremely suggested. If you could put this bitch on before you put anything in the car, highly, highly suggested. Ah, it's on. Whoop, sorry. Well, it's on. So, wow, 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 wow. So, there we go. Tensioner system is on for the alternator. The bracket's a little loose. The belt is on the inner sheath, as you can see. Let me go up there and tighten everything, and that should take care of that. Or gives you this thing called the clocking tool. So do not discard it. I didn't discard it. I thought it was some kind of adapter, but it's not. What it is a guide. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take the bolt if I can find it. Take the bolt, a bolt. Just like that. So this guy is a guide to where to drill. That's right. So they placed a little slug in the stock factory hole, the little dowel there. And this is simply serving as a guide where to drill the new little dowel where the tensioner is gonna basically, you know, hinge against. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get a drill in here. The problem with the drill is room. I don't have that much room because I have the fans in the way. So I'm gonna see what I can do to get that sucker drilled out. Alrighty, let's see if I have a drill that fits that. So, I got this little Milwaukee guy, but I don't know if it'll be enough. I'm just gonna kind of gauge it. Oh boy, that's gonna be a close one because I have that much room. So let me get the right. I got these nice little DeWalt drills here, and they have like a hex on them, so to prevent it from, you could also use it on a nut driver, but I'm going to use it on a regular drill. It's aluminum, so I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm not gonna, I'm sure there's the right size, but you know, fuck it. Ah, that looks about right. That looks about right. Okay, so let me see about getting this guy in there. Ouch, how much battery do I have? Pretty good. Put it on drill. Yes, sir. Oh, little flashlight. Oh, I got room. Nice. Nice, nice. Is it straight? Totally. Who the fuck knows? It'll be straight. Hey, come on, get back in there. Don't be an asshole. There you go. It's marked. It's definitely marked. Alrighty, so using a different camera because the battery ran out. So the belt routing on this guy goes as such, but I have to bolt on a 3.5-inch pulley because right now we are on the 2.625 Grip Tech by Kong Performance. Mr. Kong, Mr. Greg Kong, got me this guy, and this is basically a ZR1 pulley. So let's take this off, put the 3.5 on just for now, put the belt on the way it's routed on PBH's instructions, and go from there. Okay, so initially I thought I had a misalignment issue because when you look at this guy right here, it's not really lined up how it should be. So any right man would think this pulley would go on this way because it shows the part number and the size. That makes sense, right, Edelbrock? I think, or Jake actually thinks, this guy is backwards. So I'm going to flip it because there's more depth here, which means the pulley will sit further in, which means this guy will go away. And then I won't be able to see what size pulley that is, of course. So good job, Edelbrock, of placing the mark in the wrong spot. But let's swap it. Let's see if it takes care of this funky misalignment issue. Well, of course, just like Mr. Jacob said, the alignment is on the money now. No cocked belt because Edelbrock decided to stamp the pulley size where you can't see it. So future reference, the deeper, actually I wonder if that was my issue the whole time with this pulley. This is 11 rib, but I would hope that Kong would have this facing out so you can see it. So that was always right. This is a Grip Tech pulley, by the way. You can see the little, oh, this camera's spectacular. Wow, okay. So belt is routed. Belt is routed. Belt is routed. I am happy. So, gosh, what's the next step? Oh, the rack. The rack, the rack, the rack. So let me get this car up in the air because I know I'm going to have to get it up in the air. See what I got to do to replace the rack. Okay, now I'm going to mount the reservoir. I should look up the directions, but I'm not. So I'm going to try to, it looks to me like there's just two mounting bolts underneath there. This is the alternator, so don't worry about that. Two mounting holes underneath. And I'm thinking it just mounts up here somewhere. So I'll just kind of eyeball it and see if I'm right in my assessment that it mounts there somewhere. Luckily I was right. So there is two huge holes there. And if you look, the spacer, so you can zoom in from here, the spacer goes on this side because they're offset a little bit. Man, I love this camera. So the spacers are offset a little bit. So you're gonna have to put that spacer inside, okay, of the bolt hole to make sure the bracket sits flat and level. And I'll go ahead and mount that guy now. Reservoir mounted, relocated the catch can. So catch can relocated. Reservoir, gonna run the line. This guy goes from, this is the feed to the pump, I hope. Yeah, it has to be the feed because it's the fat line. And put it down there to that big fat fitting. Hopefully you can see it from here. I'm gonna zoom in. That big fat fitting right there. Put it on. I had a bit of a rain delay, so I had to slow down, but I'm going to get back at it. But yeah, just want to show you how it mounted. Very good looking setup. Okay, as I'm going with tradition and working on everything on the ground, here's the new power steering rack. Might be a refurbished joint, who knows, or new, who knows. But I'm going to go ahead and replace the manual rack, which is looking like this. No lines, no nothing, just a good old-fashioned rack. I might, maybe I'm gonna give this one away, who knows. But manual rack gone, installing power steering rack, and all this so I can get that favorable belt wrap. This is the whole reason I'm upgrading to power steering. Not only is it easier on me steering the car, but badass belt wrap on the pulley, the blower pulley. So let's keep going. Well, a couple of things I know I'm gonna have problems with right off the bat. Number one, maybe not. Maybe because this is more exposed, it looks longer, but there is more housing that houses the bearings and the fluid, so maybe it's the right height. But the splines are different. One's bigger than the other, but the coupler, I forget what it's called, the shaft, the U-joint, the steering shaft, is adjustable, so I'm hoping it wraps around the spline nicely. So let's get it in there. Okay, I tried to put the rack in and found out that the bushings are different. So I'm taking the bushings out of the manual rack, putting them into the power steering rack. Okay, most of the hard components are installed. I have to install that side. I also have to install the two fittings that go in the rack right there. One of them, which is high pressure, the other one is low pressure. High pressure comes from this port on the pump. Low pressure goes all the way back up to the return. So that's the feed from the tank. And then we go high pressure to high pressure, low pressure back to that small port on the reservoir. But for now, let me get these guys buttoned up. Once they're buttoned up, I'll get the fittings, these guys right here, I'll get the fittings put in there, and then we'll go ahead and start running some line, and I'll show you the hard line, the high pressure line that I have to use to be able to mate the pump to the rack properly. I highly don't recommend working on the ground. Anyway, right there, you're gonna get these two fittings that come in the kit in those ports right there. I believe top is high pressure, low is low pressure. If not, there's a picture, I'll figure it out which one exactly it is, but got the fittings from the kit. They have a Teflon ring. Whoa, I just dropped one. Have a Teflon little sealant deal. So I'll get these guys properly installed. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, let me cinch these guys down. Figure out which one is high pressure and which was low pressure. I'll let you guys know. Alrighty, so this is what I came up with. These are high pressure lines, not easy to cut, not easy to play with, but this was the best way I can, do it. I could have made the hose longer and have it route straighter, but as long as I can get to the oil filter and not get oil on any lines, I'm a happy guy, and it's out of the way. The big guy is returning to the tank up there. Where are you? Hey, up there. And the low pressure, which supposedly is the top one, is cinched up and ready to go. Pump is in, rack is in. So I think I'm just gonna fill the reservoir. I don't think much is gonna leak from the reservoir. If I fill it up, I don't think it'll have a lot of pressure behind it, but we'll see. We'll turn the car on and we'll make sure that everything is where it should be. Alternators rerouted, have to clean up the wiring a little bit. No big deal, it'll work for testing. So let's get it full of fluid and start it up. Camera stays up there. Yeah, it looks good. Technically all the hard stuff, quote unquote hard stuff, is done. I'm waiting for the steering shaft to show up from LMR. That's going to be the last step, I think, and the alignment. So tomorrow, same old thing, get it up in the air, put the steering shaft in. Hopefully it's not that difficult. Play with the alignment underneath, rough it, basically measure the front and the back to make sure the alignment is somewhat close, and that can get it to an alignment shop eventually. But honestly, I'm just going to drive it around and see how it feels with power steering. That's going to be a complete change with how it was. And again, the biggest reason I went to power steering at all is because Power by the Hour has a favorable belt wrap for the Edelbrock system. The other one was coming off this way, as you saw at the beginning of the video, not giving me enough belt wrap. This sucker wraps it a lot better, almost all the way around. So I'm going to start off with a 3.5 pulley. That is stock boost, 11-12 psi, but with an overdrive it's probably 14 or so. Still going to make 750 to 800 wheel, I think. On the setup, it'll probably feel good, it'll probably hook on the street. I'll still do 60 to 130 stuff just to see how it all translates. Okay, for you guys this will take 2 seconds. For me, a whole day will pass. Alrighty, so it's been a long couple of days, but this glare is ridiculous. So I'm going to show you how the power steering. The battery is off. Okay. Alrighty, it looks to be running very nice. So finally got power steering. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Very nice. Very nice. So I'm finding that this super easy actuation here. I think the actual steering column is a little jacked up, so I'm gonna take a look that the coupler isn't being an asshole. But look at that, I got power steering, nice and, you know, pretty smooth. I think, like I said, the steering shaft's being a bit of an asshole because the steering shaft is binding a little bit. So I'm gonna have to make sure that this guy isn't causing any weird binding on the bottom or the top. So I'm gonna make sure I go through that. But all in all, everything is pretty much all set. Alrighty, so looks like all the air bubbles have been worked out of the system. Have to make a couple of adjustments, but look at that. All in all, it's steering really nicely. So the next step is to get everything buttoned up, get some wide open throttle pulls made on the guy, make sure that the belt isn't slipping, find the right size belt for the small pulley, the 2.625, and hopefully that'll take care of my belt slip issues. And I have a Foxbody with power steering. Not that bad. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this kind of long video, but might as well give you a long video. Why not?